Alright, okay, this video we're going to take you through three different tools or three different new drawing techniques. Going to show you how to make a coil. So if you imagine like a spring shape, like a shape that wraps round and round in a spiral, or a corkscrew, going to show you how to do that in Inventor. Very easy. Going to show you then also how to use the sweep tool, which allows you to take any shape you like and basically draw it along a path you've made. So imagine like making a hose pipe or trying to model like something like a wire in an electronics box. I'm going to show you how to do that in both 2D and 3D. Okay, so we'll start with the coil one. So load up Inventor. You don't need to make a project, but just make a new part. Okay, and you should have all done this before. Obviously every part starts with a sketch, and draw a sketch any way you like. Okay, what we're going to do is two things here. We're going to draw a line for starters. So I'm just going to make a line. I'm going to make this, it's up to you, but I'm going to make it 50mm tall. Right click, OK. Now this line is going to become an axis. You'll see what I mean in a minute, but this is what we're going to spin or coil our shape around. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is draw the outline of what it is you want to coil. Now in this case I'm going to draw a circle somewhere off to the left. I'm going to make it maybe 5mm, and then I'm going to put a dimension between the center and here, and I'm going to make that, I don't know, 10. So it's very hard to visualize, but this circle will be coiled around and around this axis. Okay, right, that'll do for now, and I'll show you how to come back and modify it and make it more interesting in a minute. So if we click finish sketch, you'll be left with that, a circle and a line. The tool you want is coil over here, and it's asking, right, what profile? Well, it's already picked it out for you, and what axis. So our axis, we choose axis, it's going to be this line here. Now you'll see what it's done there is sort of outlined it, but that's not going to be a very good coil if we click OK. We want it to travel all the way up, so you define all of that in here under coil size. So you've got pitch. Now pitch is basically how much distance between each coil. This is 50 tall, so if we left the pitch at 10 goes into 55 times, we'd get 5 coils. Revolutions is the number of times you want it to coil. So if I typed 5, we've got 5 revolutions 10mm apart. I could have picked a pitch of 5, you know, and done 10. Alright, and I've got twice as many coils. Okay. If you click OK, you'll see what it does. Oh, that's good. Sometimes you'll get an error, so if you get an error it means basically it's too tight a coil. So I'm going to try going back to a pitch of 10 and 5 revolutions and see if it likes that. There we go. Okay, and as you can see we've very quickly and effectively made a spring shape here. Now what's really cool about that is you can edit it. So if we go back to our coil, and there's the sketch we drew. If I changed this distance here, for instance, and made it 20, finish the sketch, it will all update, and now my coil is twice as wide. Likewise, I could go back to this, so edit the sketch. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to draw some lines down the edge of my spring, something like that. Right click OK. I'm going to use the trim tool and trim away that bit and that bit, so I put a kind of flat edge. Finish my sketch, and you'll see the shape has now updated and is coiled round. There's other things you can do with coil as well, so you can go to, rather than editing the sketch now, if we right click and edit the feature, it takes us back to this menu. Under coil size you can put a taper on it, so maybe, I don't know, 4 degrees, 8 degrees. You can see what that's kind of done there. We'll try 10, see if it will let us do it. Click OK, and you can see that's kind of obviously put a taper on it. Now obviously if you get an error, if you try and go too crazy with it, I don't know, if like 50 degrees, I don't know if it'll like that, it might do. Yeah, we got away with it. But sometimes you'll get an error. Basically it just means you need to be a bit more sensible with the values. Okay, if the coil at any point would interrupt itself, as in it's like too close together, it won't let you build it basically. So that's what that's about. Oh, and you can choose left hand or right hand coiling depending on what you prefer. Okay, you can also choose the ends of the coil to be flat, and what angle you want to flatten them off at. and all sorts of other things. Alright, so very, very useful tool there for making springs. If any of you are doing engineering and you're doing the can crushers or the embossing machines, you may well need to make a spring at some point, so that's a very useful tool. Alright, so that's how to use coil. Save that if you want it, but I'm not going to bother, and I'm going to make a new part, and I'm going to show you the sweep tool now, both in 2D and 3D. So I'm going to start a new part, start a 2D sketch. This is a little bit more tricky, so we need to do 2 sketches to make this work. So I'm going to start one sketch on the XZ plane. I'm just going to draw a circle, I don't know, 15 big. I'm going to use my offset tool. If you've not used this before, it's quite clever. You can just click on a shape and it will mimic it in or out, and you just tell it how far away you want it. So let's go 3mm in. Okay, click finish now, that'll do for now. So what I've made effectively is the outline of a pipe. It's like a cross section. Now I'm going to make another sketch. So I'm going to click start 2D sketch, and this one I'm going to draw on either this plane or that one. Okay, so you'll see we're sort of looking sideways on at the sketch we've already drawn. What we're going to do here, it's very important, we're going to draw a line. We're going to find the centre of that sketch. Okay, so if you like the centre of the circle, just bring my view back. I'm just going to draw one straight, oh, do that again, sorry I messed that up. One straight line straight up, right in the middle. You need one line starting out that's exactly at 90 degrees to the sketch you just drew. Okay, and then basically you draw yourself a shape that you want that shape to follow. So I'm going to start by drawing, I don't know, an arc like that. Let's put another arc here. I don't know if this will work, it might cause an error. Some straight lines. Okay, and then maybe pick the spline or freeform tool. Okay, and click the tick when you're done. Now I hope this works because there's some pretty sharp angles in there. Sometimes, again, like the coil tool, if the angles are too sharp or it comes back on itself, it will throw up an error. But anyway, when you've done, basically, when you've done that sketch and this sketch, what the tool will do is take that shape and make it follow this path. So hang on, finish. So we're after sweep. It's saying which profile would you want. The profile we want is that ring shape, and which path, the path we'd like, sorry, is this. There we go, give it a while to calculate, and hopefully you can see what it's done there. As usual, you've got various options here. You can put a taper on it, although I wouldn't go too extreme with that, but click OK, and you'll see what that's created. So if you were trying to make pipe work, or some kind of like leg or arm, or anything really. So that is 2D, a 2D sketch. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go back, doing Control Z, and back again, back again. So back to that stage basically, and this time rather than start a 2D sketch, I'm going to click the down arrow and start a 3D sketch. Now 3D sketching is like it sounds. You can sketch in 3 dimensions, and you do it with these various tools here. So I'm going to start with a line, and I'm going to start my line from the dot in the center of my circle, and then basically you just draw up and you come up. If I wanted to move sideways in 3D space, I would move along the red axis, okay, I don't know, 25, and then I might move along the blue axis, I don't know, 25, and then I might do an arc from that point there, choose which axis, let's say in the green, okay. And I hope you can kind of see what we're doing there, but basically you choose which way you want to go. So let's pick from the end of there, and I want to go somewhere. You can even go in between angles, you know, at 45 degrees. Okay. Oh, I don't know what I've done there. You've got to be a bit careful. Sometimes it goes a bit wrong. But hopefully you can see the power of the 3D sketch tool. So exactly the same profile. I bet it won't like this one, but I'm now going to go back to 3D model. Sweep, there's my path, profile, here's my path, okay, and we might get away with it. There we go. Alright, so obviously that corner looks a bit weird because the shape is too wide for it, but you get the idea. So you can use both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional sketches and sweep shapes along them. Okay, and obviously you don't have to just do uniform shapes. We could have gone back and edited this, and it could be anything you want. All right, we can make some really kind of crazy, I don't know, weird outline. Just clicking all over the place here. Don't know what this is. As long as it forms a closed outline, maybe offset that. Actually, I'm not going to bother with that. That'll do. Finish it. Okay, start your 3D sketch. Start a line. I'm going to draw it from this point here. Up, up, sideways, sideways. This way, that way, that way, that way. Okay, don't really know what that is. Click finish. I really hope this works. So sweep, profile is that, path is that, and it didn't like it. It either didn't like it or my computer can't calculate it, but I hope you get the idea. Sometimes you have to mess around a little bit. It's probably because this path is not dead in the center of the sketch, but it is a tool you can use nonetheless. Okay, so have a play around with Coil 2D and 3D sweeping for today's lesson. Alright, see if you can make all of those things I made, and see if you can do better than this miserable attempt I did at the end.